welcome to episode number 56. This one's a little bit late this week. Better late than never, I guess, or something like that. What molecules are you playing with? So, I was looking at how much we actually play in molecules. So, it's basically the um, partially I'm going to be talking about the non-physical world and the physical world, and the playing with it, the altering or contributing or whatever, however you see it or however you perceive it, um, is this thing that I often find that we don't really look at very often. And you go through your day and you kind of go through your day and you do your thing, and you probably don't acknowledge how much you're constantly playing with the energy, with the molecules, with all the different things in your world. And what you don't realize a lot of the time is this, that you are playing in that way. You're playing with situations in your life. You show up in a room, or you show up at your place of work, or you show up at somebody's house, or whatever it is, and there may be this kind of restrictive energy, or it seems like there isn't a lot of space, and so you may actually naturally expand that space. You actually expand those molecules. You become more, you become bigger, you actually create more space between the molecules, so there's more possibility to show up, and you probably just do that naturally. You don't even realize you're doing it, and then you may go somewhere else, and you may be aware that you do it. Like, maybe you liven up the space, you be funny, you do something to create something different. You actually uh, change that energy, you change the molecules, that you change the vibration of the place or the room or the work or whatever. And you may do it in a different way. Instead of, like, maybe you're cracking jokes, or you start doing something goofy, or you become really loud in a place that's really quiet. And so all those different things change the way the place was before you arrived. So when you get there, actually something is different. And so we do this constantly. We do this every single day, literally every single moment. And you may actually be aware that you do it with yourself. Like, there may be moments where you're just like tired, or you are sad, or whatever it may be. And you're like, wait a second, I'm going to change this. I'm going to choose something different. And you may do it in many different ways. You may purposely, I don't know, like, watch a movie that's funny if you're kind of feeling sad, or whatever it is. Like, there is no particular way of doing it, but it's really cool when we start acknowledging that we actually actively go to change the energy, go change the molecules, switch them, get them to spin in a different way, get the world to spin in a different way, get your environment to be in a different way. And you may realize that you do this in many different ways. You may do this in a way where um, you actually, you're in an intense situation. Maybe there's a really intense situation going on, and instead of engaging in that energy, you just you don't engage in it, and so that creates a different space, and you create a different possibility for showing up. So it's really all these different ways we play with energy. You may come to a situation where I don't know, like, there's let's go with an extreme one. Like, there's a fight going on, and instead of allowing that fight to happen, you step in and you change something to dissipate that intensity. um, it's also interesting when you see people that are really, really good at say, mediation and that kind of thing, where you get two sides that are just so locked in their points of views, locked in their positions, and you come in as a different energy and you change that energy, you create something different, and you actually create the space for something else to show up. And that's really playing with the molecules that are available. You're changing the energy in the room, you're changing in the energy in the situation, you're actually creating the space of possibilities for something else to show up. So, really, what I was looking at and playing with this and talking about it was to get you to acknowledge where you do it, and maybe just looking at it more and perceiving how, the perception that you have and your abilities that you have to change situations, and how often you do it in your daily uh, in your daily in your day, basically. Hi, Christine. And so it's really like looking at that and playing with that and getting you to acknowledge how much you actually contribute to people's lives and how much you contribute to creating change anywhere you are. It could be on a bus, it could be in a restaurant, like in anything that your daily life, the way you move through your daily life, and just really starting to look at, wow, when I show up, I notice that something changes, or when I show up, I'm like, hey, I don't like this energy, and I actually change it. Um, you may, interact with people in a different way. You may be engage some people that don't normally engage. So it's all these different ways that you maybe smile at people in places where nobody smiles at anyone. So that's really playing with the molecules, and you're changing them, and you're creating this different energy. And um, and what that can create in somebody else's world, that it may just be fleeting. It may be like a split second that you make contact with somebody while you're walking down the street, or you pass them on the sidewalk and you smile or something like that. It's all these tiny little things that we think are completely um, don't create anything, when they actually do. They create this. That could have been the massive change in somebody's world for that day. That was the thing, that was the spark that shifted their entire mood that day. And you may not never hear about it, it may never show up. And it's really like going through this your entire day and what you create different, and by acknowledging other people, by acknowledging yourself. And this is really to get you to acknowledge, like, how much do I actually create change in people's worlds that I maybe never hear about from them, because it may be just a split second that you have that contact. And how much change do you create? And if you became more aware of that, what more could you choose, and what more would can you play with, and actively go into a room and go, okay, I'm going to change this entire place, within a few seconds. I'm going to completely shift the energy. And that's really what, when you see great performers, actually, whatever they are doing, they have this capacity to change the energy in the room to whatever it is that they're playing with. And so it's like they may try to condense the room and make things really small, and then they may expand it. And to have that capacity to play with that, to as Christine says, let's amp it up. It's amping it up, and it's also being aware of like where you can create space, and also how you can mold it and play with it in different ways. And it's really that, choosing that, and seeing what can show up there, and really being engaging with everything around you. It's also engaging in your environment. It's not necessarily just the people, it's the environment that you're creating, and what different space can you create for the environment that you're in. It may be a piece of land that you're shifting the energy of the land. I'm going to go on a total side topic, but um, this just popped, so I'm going to share it. So, where I live in Vancouver, there are two bridges to get to the North Shore. I'm currently living in Vancouver, and one bridge, and I often ride my bike across these bridges. One's the Lions Gate, and almost every time I ride it across the Lions Gate, there's this energy of wanting to jump off the bridge. Like there's this, and it happens almost every single time I ride across. It's really, really weird. Now that used to happen on the other bridge, which is called the Second Narrows Bridge, and recently they reconstructed and they put these massive, long. I don't even know what it like railing, but it's not even a railing. These spikes that go super high. They're like 10 feet high or something like that. And the reason they did that is because they had people jumping off the bridge committing suicide on both these bridges. And it's quite frequent that early in the morning the bridges get shut down because there's a jumper. And I was riding across my bike on Second Narrows the other day, and I'm like, the energy is completely different. There is no thought, there is none of this energy of jumping off this bridge. And I'm like, wow, that's fascinating. Since they put up these whatever you want to call them barriers, it has completely changed the energy of the bridge. You no longer have that energy of wanting to jump off the bridge, which was there before. And it was so noticeable in my world. And so there weren't any entities kicking around going, hey, let's jump off. Whereas that still, where there aren't any barriers or whatever on Lionsgate, it's still there all the time. Like almost every single time I go across that bridge, I have that sensation. So it's super interesting. That's just one real world example of like how something can shift the energy. And it was shifted by creating a different physical structure in this particular case. But we can also create that energetically if we so choose to, and how we can engage in creating something different in this world. So my invitation to you is to acknowledge your amazing capacities to shift energy, to change molecules, and be the magic, the wizards, the craziness that you truly are, and the the mind bending capacities that you have. And they may seem inconsequential or tiny to you, but they really are there. They really create something else in the world. And as we acknowledge that we have them and that we play with them more of that can show up. And we can literally shift this entire planet. And I say this because that's one of the things that I would like to create in this world is a complete change and shift in this planet. And the more of us that know that this is possible, the more that will start showing up. And so I know if you're watching this, you're one of those crazy, insane, amazing wizards that can create change in the world. Let's create some change. So that is my invitation to you. Thank you so much for watching. Let's go change the world and see how much fun we can create by changing it, and also to see what truly is possible that we never, ever considered as a possibility. So thank you so much. I will see you again next week. Yes, let's play. How much fun can we have? Thank you, Christine. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you for being a part of this. And let's go change the world. We'll see you again next week. Bye.